The Big Fake is an Italian crime thriller drama, which shows the intriguing journey of an artist, Toni della Duchessa, who comes to Rome in search of money and fame, but here his art falls prey to crime and politics and Toni just ends up becoming a forger. But before we begin, please like, share the video, and subscribe to my channel. The story begins in a remote village of Italy, from where three friends, Toni, Vittorio, and Fabione, set off toward Rome with big dreams. Don Vittorio is a priest, people call him Vito, and his dream is to secure a prestigious position in the Vatican Church. Fabione is a laborer inspired by Karl Marx, who wants to bring a revolution into Roman politics, while Toni is a painter. As soon as they reach Rome, the three go their separate ways. The grandeur of the city amazes Toni, but the people here do not value his art. For many months, he keeps waiting at the city square, longing for customers, but there is no one who wants to get their sketch made by him. Finally, one day he meets a girl, who takes him to an artist's party, where he meets Donata. Donata is an art dealer, young and colorful in nature. Toni is no less. He has incredible confidence and a talent for making things up, and his quick wit impresses Donata. She wants to see his work, saying that if his painting turns out better than her friends, she will definitely help him. The very next moment, both are at Toni's place. Donna is impressed by Toni's artistry but says that his paintings won't sell, because there's no demand for such paintings anymore. She says now people like symbolic and conceptual art, and your paintings are too close to reality. Toni doesn't care about all this. He has faith in his art and is sure that one day Rome will definitely pay him his due. Toni's carefree attitude appeals to Donata, and the two grow close. In the morning, just as Donata was leaving, her eyes suddenly fall on a painting. It is Bernini's self-portrait. Donata asks Toni where he got this painting from. Is he a thief? Toni is telling her that this painting is a copy and he made it himself. Donna is an art dealer. She knows real from fake, but there's so much precision and finesse in Toni's work that even the real one seems fake in front of it. Donna can't believe that Bernini's painting is a copy. When Toni tells her that he made this painting by looking at a photo published in a magazine, Donata is stunned. Showing Toni a picture of Modigliani printed in the magazine, she asks whether he can replicate this one. Toni says he can make it more real than the original. He says copying is like piece of cake for him. Donata gives him her business card and leaves, saying, "Meet me once the painting is complete." Toni begins working. The moment he spreads color on the canvas, he feels that his life is about to change. But here, it wasn't only Toni's life that was changing. Fabione tells that he has quit his job and has become a member of a communist group called the Red Brigade. Fabione is asking Toni for help, saying he needs his assistance to crack open a safe. Toni follows Fabione without asking a single question. The plan is to rob a gun shop. As soon as they get inside, Fabione starts stuffing weapons into the bag while Toni gets busy opening the safe. Cracking this safe is child's play for Toni, but before they can escape with the money and weapons, a security officer shows up. Just before the officer can shoot Toni, Fabione lunges at him. In the scuffle, a shot is fired and the officer is killed. Fabione is injured, but both of them manage to get away. Toni brings the wounded Fabione to Vito for treatment, where Vito does tend to Fabione's wounds. Fabione wants to give Toni half of the stolen weapons and money, but Toni refuses, saying he doesn't need anything right now. Fabione takes the rifles and the money with him and leaves 2 pistols behind for Toni. Toni finishes the painting Donata had asked for. The next day, he arrives at Donata's place with Vito and introduces Vito to her, but all of Donata's attention is on the painting. She is stunned. The painting is absolutely identical, and even Modigliani's signature is perfectly accurate. Donata pays Toni 30,000 lire for the painting, 10% of the total price. Seeing that much money, Toni is shocked, trying to calculate what the total value of the painting must be. 3 million, Donata says. Hearing this, Toni feels a jolt. He can't contain his happiness. As an artist, this is Toni's first real success, and he wants to celebrate big. He asks Donata if she'll go for a drink with him. Donata replies, absolutely, but on one condition, that he knows how to dance.
Both of them celebrated their first success by dancing wildly. Here Donata introduced
Toni to Bulba, telling him that Bulba brings her jewelry, sometimes a ring, sometimes a necklace. In fact, Bulba is a well-known gangster in Rome. Murder and robbery are his business. Seeing Donata in Bulba's arms makes Toni a little jealous. He asks Bulba if he has any necklace or ring right now, saying he wants to gift it to Donata. Bulba's henchman Crocker pulls out 2 rings and hands them to Toni, stating the price as 3 million. The gathering turns into a stage for showing off manhood and status. Everyone at the table is convinced Toni can't pay such a huge amount. All of them are underestimating him, and just then Toni pulls out a checkbook from his pocket and signs a check, handing it to Crocker. This is the same checkbook he stole from Donata's friend's house, saying his signature is even more real than the real one. Bulba gives Toni the ring but also warns him that if there's any issue at the bank, he'll make him disabled for life. Bulba had underestimated Toni, but when the very next day Crocker brought an envelope full of cash from the bank in exchange for the check and handed it to him, even Bulba became an admirer of Toni. Now Toni is also a member of Bulba's gang. One day in the course of conversation Toni's tongue slipped and he told Bulba that a few days ago I had robbed a gun shop with my friend. The moment Toni said this, silence fell over the cafe. Toni thought that upon hearing his exploits Bulba would pat him on the back, but instead of praise Bulba flew into a rage. His anger is over the fact that someone pulled off such a big stunt in his territory without his permission. Toni can sense Bulba's anger, but for now all he has by way of protection to offer Bulba is 2 pistols. The very next moment, both of them are at Toni's hideout. Bulba feels that Toni's place looks like a pigeon coop. He says he can get him a nice apartment, but Toni doesn't want an apartment. He wants an atelier, a place with some space and good light. Bulba took the pistols and in exchange showed Toni a new place. Toni liked the spot, but said he couldn't afford the rent.
Bulba is extremely shrewd. He knows how to keep his protégés happy. He tells Toni that there's no need to pay any rent. You'll just have to help me once in a while. The deal is sealed. Meanwhile, there's another piece of good news for Toni. Donata says that the Modigliani copy he created was bought by an art collector for 8 million. Hearing 8 million, Toni is shocked. After keeping her cut, Donata hands the rest of the money to Toni, saying that this is exactly what he should be doing because he has talent, and what he can do, no one else even comes close to. The deal is sealed. Now the 2 of them are partners. Donata's job is to bring photographs of valuable paintings, and Toni's job is to create replicas of those photographs.
Before Bulba's friendship, Toni was just a forger, but now he is a criminal too, a murderer. Actually, Bulba shot dead one of his own gang members today. The charge against him was betrayal. Toni is by nature a strong and carefree kind of guy, but Bulba's madness shook him to the core. As soon as he shifted to the new place, Toni made copies of paintings by Monet, Boccioni, and De Chirico and earned a ton of money. In no time his life changed. Luxurious house, shiny car, and a beautiful girlfriend like Donata, whom he had come to Rome in search of. Now he has it all.
But perhaps his friend Vito still hadn't found what he had come to Rome searching for. Seeing Toni's happy and luxurious life, he was cursing himself. He too wanted a life just like that. His childhood had also been spent in poverty and hunger. His mother used to say that priests never die hungry, and so he had embraced celibacy and devoted himself to the worship of God. But today, seeing the luxurious lives of his friends, he was filled with regret.
Today Bulba introduced Toni to San Siro. San Siro is a professional hitman. Recently he has carried out several murders, so to go underground he needs a new passport. Toni showed his art and prepared a new name and passport for him. San Siro seems a bit unhinged and Toni a bit loudmouthed, but the 2 got along well, and friendship was formed in their very first meeting. Though Toni, Vito, and Fabione are busy in their own lives, they still manage to make time to meet. Today the meeting place is Vito's church. Fabione has heard that Toni has fallen in with Rome's gangsters, and he is trying to warn Toni to stay away from them. But perhaps before advised things to Toni, Fabione should have advised to himself, because he too has gotten trapped in the swamp of Rome's politics. Actually, the radio is reporting that Rome's communist group Red Brigade has abducted Christian Democrats president Aldo Moro. No sooner did he hear the news than Fabione left from there. Meanwhile, in the world of crime, Toni's stature has grown quite a bit too. Today, Underworld's famous Zoo Pippo came to his place searching for him with his niece Virginia. Zoo Pippo wants Toni to make some fake documents for him, with the help of which, they can travel wherever they want. During the conversation Zoo Pippo's eye fell on the paintings made by Toni. Zoo Pippo liked Toni's artistry. He wants Toni to make a copy of Napoleon for him. Zoo Pippo is famous and influential. His friendship could prove beneficial for Toni, so he's buttering him up, saying he wants to gift him the Napoleon painting. Zoo Pippo's niece Virginia is young and beautiful. Toni has his eye on her too. He's asking if he can make her portrait. Virginia has no objection. It seems that she liked him too. The next day when she came to his place with the document, the 2 got close. Meanwhile, the Red Brigade's exploits are grabbing headlines in the newspapers. In democratic Rome they are running a parallel government of their own. From time to time they keep registering their presence by issuing leaflets, and this time the leaflet says that in Red Brigade's investigation Aldo Moro is guilty and soon Aldo Moro will have to face Red Brigade's justice. These days reading news of Red Brigade's exploits has become part of Tony's routine. He is also making the Napoleon painting for Zoo Pippo. Meanwhile, Donata has brought him another job. She wants Tony to make this painting before Napoleon because they'll get good money for it. Tony's art of forgery has now spread all over Rome, to the extent that even government officials are starting to need him. Taylor, who is a government agent, today he called Tony to meet. He wants Tony to make a fake copy of Red Brigade's leaflets in which there will be government words. It will say that President Aldo Moro has been killed. Tony prepared the leaflet exactly without any hassle, and the news of Aldo Moro's death written in this leaflet shattered the sympathy for Red Brigade in the hearts of Rome's public. Today Tony came for lunch with Vito. Vito seems a bit troubled. He's saying that the bishop had recommended his name for the Monsignor position in the Vatican Church, but now that chance went to someone else because he had many friends in the Vatican. Vito's simplicity bothers Tony. Tony suggests to Vito that he should enjoy life a bit, saying this. Tony left from there. Vito has understood that even the people sitting in the Vatican do business in the name of religion, and now his attachment to the path of truth has broken. He has decided that now he won't suppress his desires anymore. He went and sat at Tony's table and started eating bites of the delicious dishes he had left. Vito's this strange behavior is a sign that now he has become corrupt. Meanwhile, Taylor has gotten after Tony. He has news that Tony's one companion is a Red Brigade member. He wants Tony to get Vatican's message to Red Brigade through his companion. The message is that the government doesn't care about Aldo Moro's death, but Vatican cares about Aldo Moro, and Vatican wants to make a deal in which Red Brigade will get a big sum in exchange for Aldo Moro's release. Taylor is saying that the Pope himself is arranging this sum.
Actually, the Pope doesn't want the ideological differences between the ruling party and rebels to turn into bloody conflict. Tony delivered Vatican's message to Fabione, telling him that the Pope is ready to give 10 million to Red Brigade in exchange for President Aldo Moro's release, because the government is preparing for tough action and they are not going to make any deal. The deal is sealed. Fabione handed Tony 2 photos of Aldo Moro, in which Aldo Moro has today's newspaper in his hands, and this is proof that he's alive. Now it's Tony's turn. He is standing on a bridge waiting for the Pope. The deal was that the Pope himself would come with the money, but instead of the Pope, his disciple came and left saying that the Pope has cancelled the deal.
He calls Vito and tells him to inform Fabione that the deal has been cancelled and that he should go far away from the city. The next morning, crowds of people have gathered on the streets of Rome. In fact, this morning the police found Aldo Moro's dead body at a city square. The Red Brigade has actually killed him. Bulbar tells Tony that the Pope cancelled the deal because he found out about Taylor's intentions. Tony finished the Napoleon painting, and the painting is extremely splendid. Zoo Pippo liked it, telling Tony that he can ask for anything in exchange for the painting. Tony demanded to save Fabione, but Fabione is stuck in the swamp of politics in such a way that even an influential guy like Zoo Pippo threw up his hands. Apologizing to Tony, he said that saving Fabione is beyond his power. Tony's success is speeding very fast. They say too much speed can cause accidents, and something did happen. Entangled in red and black politics, Tony no longer feels like painting. Donata had given him a job to make a painting, but Tony couldn't finish the painting on time. Now most of his time is spent with his friends and other girls. Donata didn't like this, and she left the house. Meanwhile, Bulbar too suffered from Taylor's enmity. Taylor had Bulbar killed in an accident. Upset by Bulbar's death, Tony also picked a fight with Taylor, and this enmity cost Tony dearly too. After Bulbar's death, Taylor had ordered Tony to find President Aldo Moro's diary, but in response Tony grabbed Taylor's neck. Angry at this misbehavior, Taylor had Tony's hands and fingers broken. Though Tony's life was saved, but now he is no longer able to paint. Seeing his life fall apart, these days Tony has become irritable. He tries hard to regain mastery over painting again, but fails. Tired and defeated, he returns to Donata. When he finds out that Donata is pregnant, he apologizes to her for his mistakes, saying that he wants to marry her. Today, after a long time, all 3 friends are together again. Fabione asks Tony for help. He says that he needs a passport and that he will leave the country and go far away. Tony's hands are injured,
but even in this condition, he prepared a passport for his friend Fabione. In return, Fabione gave him President Aldo Moro's diary. This diary is no less than a treasure. It contains the account of all the misdeeds and dark deeds of Rome's famous and infamous figures. Tony thanks Fabione, says this is his lifeline. Fabione realizes that in the fight between communists and capitalists, he was just a pawn, but now it's too late. Before he could leave Rome, he was killed by police.
After Fabione's death, Tony hid Aldo Moro's diary in Vito's custody in an art gallery, telling him that if something happens to him, give the diary to Donata. Tony is no longer able to paint. He wants to earn money for Donata and his unborn child. He remembered that once Zoo Pippo had told him that someone had embezzled his millions. Toni has a plan, telling Zoo Pippo that he can get his money back. Just tell him that guy's name and address, and in exchange he will take a small share of the money, then go far away with Donata and his child. At first Zoo Pippo refused, but when Toni insisted, Zoo Pippo agreed. He told Toni that my money is lying in a bank in Aurelia. It took just Zoo Pippo saying it, for Toni, Driver and Crocker to rob Aurelia's bank like child's play. Within a moment they emptied the entire bank. Toni now has more than enough money, but to leave the country he needs permission from the rulers here. He's telling Taylor that Aldo Moro's diary is with him, but he will give the diary only when he helps him and Donata to leave the country. But it seems Toni made a mistake by telling Taylor about the diary. He thought Taylor would agree easily, but without saying a word, Taylor simply walked away. Perhaps he understood where the diary was hidden and with whom. He goes straight to Vito. Taylor has evidence of Vito's misdeeds. In fact, Vito has embezzled church funds. He has spent the funds on cars, expensive clothes, watches, and fulfilling his own desires. Taylor gives Vito an offer that if he hands over Aldo Moro's diary to him, he will spare him, and along with that, he will donate the money robbed by Toni to the church, over which you will have full control. For money, Vito betrays his friend and hands the diary over to Taylor. The people whose money Toni robbed have hired San Siro to kill him, but Toni is still carefree, because he doesn't know that the diary he considers his lifeline has been handed over to Taylor by Vito. When San Siro tells him this, Toni is shaken to the core.
San Siro says there's no need to be afraid. You won't kill him because he considers him his friend, and you also have a favor over me, he says, but the ones who hired me will need to be given a dead body.
Toni remembers that once Donata had said that his and Vito's faces look alike. He writes a letter to Vito to say goodbye, one final letter. In the letter, he writes that he is leaving the country and that he knows what Vito has done. But even so, he is not angry with him, because he loves him deeply. So deeply that he is leaving his car behind for him. Toni also leaves the keys to his car for Vito. After reading the letter, Vito breaks down and starts crying, but perhaps even after sacrificing a friend's trust, the greed in his heart still isn't satisfied. He goes and sits in Toni's car. Blinded by greed, Vito doesn't even realize that San Siro is sitting in the back seat, and that this is a trap. San Siro shoots Vito in the middle of the forehead, making the body impossible to identify, and Toni leaves the country with Donata. The film ends here. I hope you liked the story. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.